fundamentally, you see, for me, the what matters most is social realities, and that films, for me, can only be evaluated in terms of their relation to the rest of life, the rest of social life, and so on and so forth. Only that. The psychologization, psychologization, is for me a way, essentially, of disdaining the primacy of the real social world. You know, how do you teach film? Well, I teach film, you know, what does it mean, and what is it saying, what does it mean, you know? And for me, this is absolutely, and this remark has become, in a sense, my motto, you know, I mean, as far as teaching what people how to look at movies, right? Well, what is it? You know, obviously, what its meaning is produced by all the means possible, form included, obviously, but nonetheless, it is the question of how it inscribes itself in a society at a given time, how it produces meanings. I'm slagged off for this very regularly in this country for preaching this notion, but I think my work is still very solid. Nobody knows it in English because it's untranslated. Absolutely untranslated. What I've been writing, it's sort of frustrating for me. You see, what I've written for the past 15 years, not a word of it is translated into English.
The ability to get in and seduce with imagery is, you know, it's very tempting. It's very powerful, and needs constantly to be tempered. And again, I would go back to Godard. People say, "Well, he's boring," and I go, "Yeah, he's boring in sections." And then he'll give you an absolute gem of an image or an idea. And you walk away with a very clear idea of the context of those gems, rather than the kind of obsessive goal of most filmmakers now, which is to give you a 100-minute seduction experience where you're never let off the seductive hook. And, you know, that ultimately is an entirely frustrating experience, because you come out with your brain having been, up to a point, fooled into the idea that it's had an experience, but it hasn't had an experience. It's merely watched a film. It, in a way, is your duty to inform the audience as much as possible of what you're doing stylistically, in order for them to be able to interpret and understand what it is they're watching. And the problem with reality, and the fact that these cameras approximate reality rather well, and relates to the so-called, you know, these cheap TV shows about, you know, reality and so on, is that line is now so blurred, and that becomes the model for most people when they're growing up, the model of their experience, and they will impersonate elements in these visual documents as part of their life experience, as we always did with film.
But it's the local technologies like cinema, which arise virtually from nothing, become highly evolved in a very sophisticated way, but their sophistication is their own downfall in a curious way. And I think for all the reasons, and we've talked about 20 of them here, the notion of the cinematic as an art form, this pretense of it being the seventh art, it's not going to work with it. That profound ability to communicate with a still image, which is very rare in cinema, very rare in the notions. I've tried very hard to encompass that and to demonstrate it. You know, sometimes my shots are 10 minutes long because I want you to look, for Christ's sake, look. Don't be disengaged by movement. Don't be disengaged by the ephemeralities of notions of narrative and anecdote. Just fucking look.